Good afternoon, this is Lionheart 84. This is it's the 2nd of September, and this is an introduction to my small London suburban garden. This is the beginning of my adventure. She's about 25 feet wide by about 30 feet long. I guess that's about 8 metres by about 9.5 metres, so quite compact. This border on the left here I put in May this year. Basically it's raised on sleepers to make maintenance easier, plus the ground underneath, the soil was absolutely shocking, so as well as preparing that, I decided it would be better to have a couple of feet of good quality compost with it. This is the one side of the garden that I've done so far. When I got the garden, the whole yard or backyard was full of rubble, rocks, stones, brambles, blackberries, nettles, weeds. There wasn't anything here at all. Just one apple tree that had fallen down, and the rest of it was completely inaccessible, so I've still got a long way to go. The garden's east facing, which does give me the advantage. It means that this border that I've put along the side is actually south facing, so I'm hoping to be able to grow some fairly tender and slightly unusual plants here. You can hardly believe it, but this was only planted out in May this year. Most of the plants were no more than maybe 12 inches high, so it's done incredibly well. And I've got a mix of some reasonably slightly exotic plants for the UK, and obviously some fairly mundane plants as well, which I've chosen to have for some immediate colour. I've put in some lavenders and a buddleia or butterfly bush there, and the main reason for those is I think they look very nice, they flower reliably, and obviously I'm trying to do as much for the bees and the butterflies as I can, because I enjoy my nature. However, I've got some quite unusual plants in here as well, which I will feature in other videos, but just to give a very quick run round, I've put some fairly normal sort of flowering plants in, such as agapanthus, and there's some nerines, but I have also got some interesting fruits which I hope are going to be successful. This is an Actinidia arguta variety Issai, which is some parts of the world is called Chinese gooseberry, in other parts it's called a kiwi fruit. This is a small variety which is hairless, so you can literally eat them like gooseberries, and Issai is meant to be fairly self-fertile, so I'm hoping that just by having one vine that I will be able to get some fruits in the next year or two. Now, believe it or not, this plant was only about sort of 8 inches to a foot tall when planted, and as you can see, she's over 2 metres now. I guess the incredibly hot summer we've had, together with being well watered, has really helped matters. Hidden down here is little variegated Chilean guava or ugni, which should produce small edible fruits by next year. Thought we'd have a go at that. I've put in 3 blueberries because they fruit quite successfully, provided it's a nice acidic soil. Easy to maintain, I hope. Attractive autumn colour and attractive flowers, so they should be a good mix of a good mix of fruit and flowers and decoration throughout the year. Now, this passion flower again was only 12 inches when I put it in. It's supposed to be the variety Passiflora incarnata, which is also known as the maypop, but I still have some doubts, as the leaves look slightly incorrect for that variety. It's certainly not the hardy English variety, but there are some buds on there that are literally within a day or two opening, so once the flowers open I'll see if it's the correct sort of a colour flower for an incarnata. Tucked away down here I've got a pineapple guava, which is Aca Saloiana. It's also known as Feijoa or Feijoa, depending on which part of the world you're from, as some countries seem to use a soft J, as in the Spanish pronunciation. Now, I've put in 3 varieties. One of them's just a normal Feijoa. The other one is the variety Triumph, and I believe the third variety is Mammoth. One of them was particularly large when I bought it. The other two were very small, but they seem to be doing very well, because I've been led to believe that they need to be cross-pollinated to have a chance of fruiting. And obviously I'm hoping by having a south-facing border that they're going to get a lot of sun, because I'll talk about them in another video at greater length, but I am hopeful that I might be able to fruit them in this country. Hidden behind there is Diospyros khaki. That's one of the Sharon fruit family. I don't know what variety it is. I do have a Fuji, but it's in a container. This one's not a named variety, but it may cross-pollinate successfully with the other one. That's the Japanese persimmon or Sharon fruit. There is a pawpaw hidden behind there. That's Asamina triloba. That's the variety sunflower. And because, again, they're supposed to need cross-pollinating, I've bought a second pawpaw from another nursery, a much larger one, not a named variety, so I don't know what's going to happen there. We'll find out later on in the next year or two and see if I get any flowers. Very hard to fruit them in this country because we don't really get a long enough summer, but I'm hopeful if we get more hot summers like this we might get somewhere. And then tucked away here there's also a small pomegranate. We'll see what happens with that. It's doing very well. It's probably quadrupled in size since I put it in May, and everything seems to be messed up with the seasons because I've got a nerine here in full flower, and they really wouldn't normally be flowering till the end of September or October, and the bulbs were only planted in June, so I'm guessing it's a little bit confused over the seasons. Afraid the rest of the garden isn't worth looking at the moment. I've got quite a lot of work to do because my first job is to get rid of a huge tree stump, because the remains of an 80-foot tree. And until the tree stump's moved, I won't be able to have the fence straightened up and put into the right level. And then obviously I had a bit of spare space at the end of the garden this year, so I just decided to throw some tomatoes and cucumbers down and some peppers and just see what happens. And actually they've done very well, because otherwise it would have been wasted space. So that's a little introduction to my garden. Sorry for anybody who's bored by me prattling on, but I just fancied making some videos, and I'll talk about the Chinese gooseberry, the actinidia and the Feijoas and the passion flower in later videos, and go into a little bit more detail on each of them and how I'm going to go with them. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the weekend.